So last week, Chris talked a lot about mindset around business planning and looking towards your future. And really, he talked a lot about the comfort, stretch, and panic zones, right? And so when we're business planning, we want to get out of our comfort zone and go into stretch and maybe again a little into panic. And today I'm going to share some of my own stuff with you, and how I business plan and then track it throughout the year. So show of hands, how many people here do vision boards every year? Okay. Show of hands, people who love spreadsheets. Yes. And a show of hands of people who panic when they see a spreadsheet. Yay, Edie. Way to be brave. Okay, and then how many of us track our business year round? Okay. Good group. All right, so I'm going to jump right in here. So this is a picture of my vision board for this past year. So as an office, we all sit down at the beginning of the year and we do vision boards, and then we keep them. This vision board is in my office, so I get to see it every day. And when I'm doing my vision, when you're doing your vision boards, you think about what you want to attract throughout the year, and then why you want to attract it. So Chris talked about that last week, right? What's your why? Is it that, you want to be financially secure? Is it that you want your grandchildren to go to college? So if you put this onto a board, and again, it can be electronic through a Google Doc, or literally cutting and pasting. And we have some pretty fantastic Better Homes and Gardens magazines in our offices, right? So we recycle those every year. So this is how I start my year, is with a vision board, because it sets me up to understand where I want to be. And then, so business planning step one is to do the math. And sometimes we don't like to sit and do the math, but it is important that we do the math at the beginning of the year, or any time of year, really. You don't have to business plan in January. You can do it today if you want to finish out the rest of the year. So step one is, what are your yearly expenses? And this is where you want to be very true with yourself and realistic, because you want the right numbers. So let's say, your yearly expenses are $90,000, and then you have your goals, right? So how much extra money do you need to attain your goals? So you might have seen on my vision board that I want a new car, and I also want to take a trip to Ireland, and I want to go down to South Carolina. So, that car's expensive. I priced it out. It's $150,000 between my trips and my new car. So there we go. I have a big goal this year. And then what's your average sales price? So for me, last year it was $394,000. So all this information you can get off of your MLS, or your sales director or business support specialist can help you gather all these numbers. And then what's your average commission net per transaction? So average 11,820. So then how much GCI do I need to accumulate to hit my goals? It's going to be $450,000, but there's going to be some extra money there. I'm going to give some to the IRS, and maybe put some in a savings account. So we'll go with that. And then step two is to take a look at your historic trends. This is very important, because if we're going to be realistic with our business planning, we need to understand where we've been in the past and where our business has come from. So this is my spreadsheet from a few years ago. And if you guys want, after this, I can share this document with you, the blank document, so you can throw your numbers in there. But I look at what my transactions were, for every month, how many transactions I had throughout the year. So 2016 all the way up to 2020. 2020 I didn't actually finish on this spreadsheet. It's on a different one. And then I look at my volume and I break it down by quarter. So I look at my numbers a lot, and I definitely look at my numbers every quarter because I want to make sure that I'm on track. And if I'm not on track, I might need to pivot, or I might need to, put a little extra in there. I don't like to be surprised at the end of the year when I haven't reached my goals. I want to know that I'm not going to reach my goals and maybe I need to adjust, because that's the other thing, is to be flexible and know that, as we're in a changing environment and a shifting market, our goals are going to change with that market. So being aware of it and not feeling like it's a failure. If you're monitoring what you're doing, then you can pivot. You don't feel like a failure because you are on top of it. And then I look at GCI, and the most important thing for me on my spreadsheet is the source of my business. And if basically my biggest source is my sphere and client referrals and personal referrals. So that's where you want to be, right? You want everything to be coming from your organic people, not just, up calls if you're on floor time, or your website, or, an ad you put in the paper, because that's business by chance rather than business on purpose. So I like to look at this, and my goal is to have almost all of my business coming from my sphere, my client referrals, and my past clients. And then I break it down and I look at how many list sides I had and how many buy sides I had. So as we're in business, when you start business, a lot of times your first couple of years are all buy sides, right? Because you don't have the people referring you out. I mean, my own family, my first 2 years in business didn't refer me to their friends because they're like, she's too new. Go with somebody experienced. But then by year 3, you start getting those referrals because you've proven yourself and you have a good reputation. And then and then on the bottom, you'll see average sales price. So I take this information and you'll see that I did 2018, and then projected 2018. So that's where I kind of put my goals, and then my real 2018, like what's really happening. And then I did it again for 2019. So strategic plan and key performance indicators. So we call those KPIs. Many businesses have KPIs. And so with our company, we have our KPIs. Within our offices, we have our KPIs. And as an agent, I have my own KPIs. So that I know that if I'm going to reach my goal of 450,000 GCI, I'm going to need 38 transactions. And I want 30 of them to be list side and 8 of them to be buy side. So that's my KPI for transactions. And then for volume, I want to hit 15 million. And then that brings me to my GCI of 450. And then I just threw in there reminding myself of my average sale price, because that's another thing too, right? If you're selling a lot of land for $60,000, $70,000, it's going to bring your average sale price down. So then you need to be realistic about, okay, I might need more transactions this year, or I might need to go for that $1 million property. And then looking at appointments needed to convert a customer. So that's individually based. Some of us only need to, have 3 appointments and we can nail down a client. Others of us, it might take 10 appointments. It depends on how we are and how we present ourselves and our professionalism, really. So and this isn't like, there's no science to this number, okay? It's what you feel in your heart. Like, how many people do I need to get in front of before I can land a client? For me, I put 7. So then I multiplied that by my 38 transactions, right? Because if I want 38 transactions and it takes me 7 people to get one of those, then it brings me to 266 appointments in the year. So then, this is my math geek. I'm geeking out on you guys with my math. So of that 266, I'm going to divide that by 44 weeks. I'm going to work 44 weeks this year because I'm going to go to Ireland. I'm going to buy my car. I'm going to go to South Carolina, take Christmas off. So there's my 44 weeks. And so that means I need 6 appointments per week. So that's something you can track every week, right? You're not looking at the big number. You know that if I have 6 appointments this week, I'm staying on track. And some weeks you might have 3 appointments, but then the next week you're going to want to try and get 9 appointments to keep yourself on track. And so then it's monitoring your progress. And I love this. This is my vision board. This is a big Post-it static board that you can put on a wall. And I track, so it's visual to me every day, a couple times a day when I go into my office, is I have my listings, my under contracts, my buyers, my solds, my upcoming and my work streams, and then a list of books down on the end just for my happy place. And this is movable. This is not something that is solid. All of these pieces move around. And in your business, you want to keep that flow, right? So I take great pleasure in moving my Post-its from potential upcoming listings to a listing to an under contract and then to a sold. And at the end of the year, it's fun to go through all your, sold Post-its and remind yourself of what a great job you did. So this is my vision board. And then this is an agent in the office. She nails it. She put it on there and she's like, I am doing this. And she's, she said she looks at it a couple times a day, and she's very happy when she can put an X through the transactions box in the listings, buyers, referrals. And then she too has some Post-its on there to make sure that she can keep track of what she's doing and keep herself energized. She said her boys sometimes will go in there and write on her board as well for her. So that's fun. And this is a quote that I love. The only constant in life is change. Heraclitus is an ancient Greek philosopher, and I really believe in this, and I remind myself of this constantly. Because things are always changing. We have to remain flexible in order and be able to change course as we're working through these changing environments. So I am actually going to put a challenge out to you guys this morning, a little fun challenge. So those whiteboards, I have 2 in my office that are packaged up and ready to go. So the first 2 people that send me pictures of their vision boards, I'm going to ship you out. I'm going to ship you out a whiteboard vision board. Sound good? Did Chris get on with us today? I don't think so. Oh, there you are. Hey, Chris.
Hey, good morning. So my Zoom decided to update right as I logged on.
Always, right?
So apologize for that. So.
It's okay. So do you want to finish us out, Chris?
Yeah, this was excellent. Thank you, Denise. And I think one of the things it kind of speaks to is that, like planning, like if you want to take business planning, but you can take really anything, right? Things are not as complicated as we make them. Actually, things are actually pretty simple. And, sometimes our minds overcomplicate things to give us a pass so we don't have to do it. Right. And so when we were talking last week, about why do we business plan, right? Or why do we plan anything? It's not planning for planning's sake. It's planning because, we have a destination in mind. And if we're not mindful about that, then, we tend to fall victims to like random fates, and so if we're not intentional about what we want to do, if we're intentional, then we're going to have a specific, then we're going to achieve a destiny. But if we're not, then we're going to just fall victim to just random outcomes. I think that's kind of the value of this, right? Is kind of knowing where you want to go. And I think, Denise did a great job with the vision board and how does that relate to where you want to be? And then breaking it down into small bites, right? 6 appointments a week. I mean, we all do better, all of us, when we have digestible bites. When we take a look at the enormity of a goal and we say, okay, I want to do, $400,000 of gross commission income, for example. We say that, we look at it and we go, but then when you break it down into every single day, the activities every single day, it's a lot easier, right? So think about it, right, in terms of, how do you construct things in a way so that frankly your mind doesn't get overwhelmed, and that you're just taking it in easily digestible bites, right? On the production side, just a couple comments. Typically, a really healthy ratio between your listing income and your sales income, okay, or listing-based income and buyer-based income is 2/3 to 1/3. So, you know, if you were making a cocktail, that'd be like the perfect ratio, right? Of, you know, liquor to whatever ingredient you're using. So, but it's 2/3 to 1/3. And really the way to look at it would be my listing based activities, which would be my listing. So it could be an incoming co-broke on your listing, or it could be where you double side your listing. Okay. Or it's an in-house sale on your listing, right? Any one of those. And then your buy sides are obviously, you know, pretty easily defined, right? And if you look at it that way, 2/3, 1/3, that's a really healthy ratio. So, but that was great, Denise. So,
And, you know, the other thing that, as you were talking, brought to mind was last week you talked about freedom, right? You have freedom within your business to create what you want and how you want it to play out. And also then, but with that comes responsibility, right? So you've got the freedom to be as successful as you want, but you have a responsibility to yourself to get you there.
right. That's the funny thing about freedom, right?
Yeah.
More freedom you have, more responsibility you have.
Yes.
So, you know, as they say, be careful what you wish for.
Right.
So, but you hold the keys. Keys to the kingdom are all yours.
Yeah.
So. All right, questions, comments? Got a couple chats in here. So yeah, Susan, yeah, you can find the last week's on that link. So, all right, awesome. Well, thanks,
Thank you.
Denise. This was great. Sorry
Yeah.
for being late. So
We forgive you.
yeah, okay.
Thanks for having me.
I'll work extra hard next week. So,
Okay.
all right, guys, have a great week.
Have a good week. Send
Take
me your
care.
vision boards.